All right, I think I'm live. I'm sorry I'm late, guys. Sometimes life takes over. And, we talk about overwhelm. Look, my hair is even crazy. It looks like Kramer. It's the wind. It's just running around, trying to get everything done. Just want to welcome everybody. I know if you guys didn't catch it because I wasn't on time for my 4:15, it's live now. So we'll just deal with it. We'll go forward. And I'm going to go through my points, today that I wanted to go through. Overwhelm Part 3. Today's topic is really about just say no. It's like the old 80s drugs, the drug, you know, just say no to drugs. Just say no to things. Um, I think it's pretty obvious. Let's see who's somebody's actually watching. Yay! Hi everyone. I didn't think that anybody would be catching this, given that I had missed my window time. But you know, I just want to kind of start by saying it's pretty obvious how saying yes to everything leads to overwhelm. Like that's one of the things that it gets difficult as you get older, as you have more responsibilities, more people that you feel you need to please, right? You take on extra tasks. You start doing favors. You try to be everything for everybody, and I think this is really one of the major pillars of what gets us into trouble. If you're here today, just want you to drop a like, drop a hi. I want to see who's watching. Um, Last week I talked about priorities, and I think priorities are really important to set the stage. And this week is about constraints. It's about boundaries, right? It's about being on top of what you're going to do and doing it intentionally, right? So, um, constraint for me is saying no to things, right? It's not just about limiting what you do and putting a box around stuff and doing less. It's actually saying no. It's actually having the courage to go out there and be like, you know what? This isn't a priority for me right now. I'm going to have to pass, right? Um, and really, it gets down to I think one of the most innocuous questions someone can ever ask you is, hey, can you do me a favor? Right? And how do you feel when somebody asks you for a favor? Right? Jot that below. I want you guys to comment. How do you feel when somebody asks you for a favor? Right? I used to say yes to everything. Everything. Like I would, if my mom asked me for a favor, I'd say yeah. If my aunt asked me for a favor, I was on it. My cousins, my sister, my my wife, my friends, I was there, right? I was always running around. I was always trying to do everything for everybody. Um, and you know, hey Grace, how's it going? Um, one of my most painful insights, yeah, um, yeah, is the say just say no, right? You know, when you say yes to everything, you're kind of saying no to certain things, right? So you have to trade. Like we only have 24 hours in a day. We only have so many things, so much energy that we can spend on stuff, mental energy, physical energy. And what I found out from running around and doing everything is that I was so busy trying to please everyone that I left no time for myself. And I was not, um, I wasn't really focusing on doing the important things that were important for me, right? And that's why last week when I layered in priorities, it was really I didn't know what my priorities were. So it was really easy to just drop me to do something for someone else, right? Because it wasn't important. Whatever I was doing at the time didn't seem that important, but that other thing, well, that was an emergency, right? Let me go help there. I know I can help there. And I think that's probably one of the biggest things that puts us off is when we think, you know what, my thing's not important. Let me just go help there, right? Yes, James, I'm wearing my Empire Strikes Back shirt today because it's just one of those days, right? We just like let's tackle it. Um, but one of the things I used to always think too is that my value was whether how I was seen from other people. So if somebody asked me for a favor, I would jump in. I'd be like, yeah, of course. Because if I could help them, then I was valued. Then I was important, right? Then I was the person people could lean on. I used to identify myself solely as the person that people could lean on. And I wasn't there for myself at all. So if this, and I think this is true for a lot of us, I think there's definitely times in our life where we're not, we're sacrificing ourselves for the way that we want people to view us. Okay. And I know that's a little bit deep for feeling overwhelmed, but I think that's where we go when we are taking on too much, right? We have to check in and say, well, hold up. Like, how do I benefit? How do I help people if I'm a wreck? How do I show up if I don't have any more to give, right? You don't. That then leads you down the path of burnout, which was my series in March, right? It was what happens once you're so overwhelmed, you give up. When you give up, you go to overwhelm, right? And that's not a great place to be, but you can catch it here. So I want to lead into, like, I only have a couple of points today to make on this. Is the lesson about having to choose no is the first one. That is the hardest thing, right? And it's intentional. It's about doing it. Really checking in and thinking to yourself, is this something I want to do, right? Not, is this something I have to do? Is this something I'm, like, oh, well, I feel obligated to do? Guilt comes in. Those of us with ethnic mothers know all about guilt. And what we want to do is choose what works for us, and I'm not saying say no to everything, but say no to those things that for you are a low priority. Like if my wife calls me right now and says, Pete, I'm stuck in traffic, go get the kids. Well, yeah, that's a priority for me. I'm not going to abandon my children in the schoolyard like I did 2 weeks ago. I'm going to drop this live and I'm going to go pick them up. But if she was to call me up and say, oh, Pete, can you run and pick up my dry cleaning right now? The answer is no, right? And I'm okay saying that. It's okay. She can not get her laundry tonight, right? And those are the kind of things we need to weigh across. This is the one thing. Hey, Sierra made me laugh. Saying no, yes. That's the key, right? And so what I would do is really reflect and be intentional. What are the things that you want to do, and what are the things that you're going to take on that you're like, you know what, not my bag. Another story I had was I volunteered for the PTA at school. Man, I don't ever want to do that again. And I felt guilt about doing it, felt like I should be involved. But it wasn't my thing, man. I just don't want to do PTA. So guess what? Next time they ask for help, I'm just going to say no unless I really want to do it. And that's it, right? And it kind of leads into the next one, which is constraint, right? Because no is creating constraint for yourself. And constraint is your friend. Constraint is your best friend. Like, that is what helps you to get focused and execute on something. Like, the myth of multitasking. When you're trying to do everything, you're doing nothing. You're useless. And stop convincing yourself you aren't, because you are. So I like constraint as a way of saying, these are my priorities for the day. When I wake up in the morning, I try to put 1, 2, 3 things up on the to-do list, and that's it. And those are priorities for me. There are things that I'm going to execute, right? And then when something comes up during the day and somebody asks me for a favor, I can compare that against what I have as my priorities. And that favor, if it doesn't beat out picking up my kids, it goes to the bottom and it gets to the no pile, right? The constraint is what saves me, right? And I can't do everything. It took me a long time to say that out loud. It's almost like an alcoholic. Like, Pete, my name's Pete Beskus, and I can't do everything, So if I choose to say yes to something, what am I going to have to cut out? And there's lots of things that I want to do, and I don't want to cut those things out. So I have to learn to say no. I have to learn to constrain, right? One of the lines I have down here is that for everything you say yes to, you're saying no to something for yourself. And think about how true that is for you, right? So this is a quick one today, guys, and I just wanted to say, quick action for this week. I really want you guys to try my exercise. This is my challenge for you for the next 7 days. Practice saying no to one thing every day, okay? Practice saying no to one thing every day that's not moving you forward, that adds zero value to your life, and yet you're still doing it, okay? Saying no will give you freedom. feels so good. Trust me, try it. Try it. It feels so good. Come back to this live, post down below, post your win. If you could get through 7 days of saying no, like I'll make you an Empire Strikes Back t-shirt and I'll send it to you. Okay? If you do feel that it's hard to create that space, to create those constraints, to establish what your priorities are, why don't you reach out for help? Reach out to me. I can help you create those priorities, create that strategy, and that execution. So if you want to get on a one-on-one call, I can help you solve that number one thing that's holding you back right now, right? What does that mean for you? Are you going to trade in 45 minutes of your time to solve one of the biggest problems that you're having? I'm offering that to everyone who's watching today and everyone who watches in the future. So reach out. I'm going to put a link to my calendar below. I'm also going to put a link to my Overwhelm playbook, which is kind of helps you to DIY a little bit and to identify some of those obstacles and roadblocks. So till next week, guys, really appreciate everyone who showed up. Sierra, thanks so much. James, my man. And Grace, thanks, guys. And I'll see everyone next week. Bye.